So the first panel with Marc Baucher from Scale AI will be talking about hospitals and their project and what they have in mind. So I'd like to invite on stage Madame Cathy Malas du CHUM, Dr. Srinivas Raman, Princess Margaret Hospital, et le Dr. David Buckridge de McGill University Health Center.
Merci à tous. Donc on a le plaisir aujourd'hui de discuter ensemble de cas concrets d'adoption de l'intelligence artificielle au sein d'hôpitaux pour mieux comprendre comment l'AI va nous aider à transformer le système de santé. Puis je pense que vraiment les exemples dont on va parler aujourd'hui vont nous aider à comprendre comment faire face aux points critiques auxquels font face nos hôpitaux aujourd'hui, que sont le besoin de ressources et puis les listes d'attente de patients. En tout cas, la phrase que je vais prononcer là, je pense qu'elle a été peu prononcée dans le passé, dans l'histoire des événements d'AI, mais on a le plaisir aujourd'hui d'avoir 3 hôpitaux avec nous qui ont adopté concrètement des solutions d'AI dans leurs opérations. Donc, un grand merci. Many thanks, Cathy, David, Srini, for being here today and discuss with us concrete examples of solutions being adopted. Could you please introduce yourselves and the organization and also explain a bit what are the AI solutions your organization adopted?
C'est moi qui commence? En français?
Tu peux commencer.
Alors, merci beaucoup pour cette belle invitation. Et je tiens aussi à remercier Scale AI de leur écoute dans la bonification et l'amélioration de l'appel à projet. Marc, sincèrement, merci. Tu as été vraiment à l'écoute. On n'a pas eu 100% de nos demandes, mais c'est une bonne partie. Merci beaucoup. Alors, moi, c'est Cathy Malas. Je suis responsable du pôle d'innovation d'intelligence artificielle et de projet au CHUM. Je suis accompagnée de Anne Nguyen, notre Chief Health Data Officer, et Pascal de l'équipe le gestionnaire de Citadel. Tu veux que je donne des exemples?
Les solutions, peut-être brièvement, les solutions que vous avez adoptées au sein de l'organisation?
Il y en a 104 en cours, mais tu veux que je parle des projets, des exemples? Oui, je sais. Il y a 104 projets d'AI au CHUM. Mais veux-tu que je te parle de quelques exemples? Okay. Alors, Gray va parler après d'un exemple. Tu vas en parler, donc je ne vais pas parler de celui-là parce qu'il va être illustré. Dans le concours de Skill, dans le premier projet, on a eu 3 autres projets financés. Un, c'est pour la prédiction des équipements des protections individuelles avec le partenaire Mouta, qui est parmi nous aujourd'hui. On a développé aussi un outil d'IA pour optimiser la planification au bloc opératoire. Puis Dr. Buckridge va en parler aussi peut-être après. Donc ça, c'était fait avec Ivado Labs. Et on a aussi déployé une solution pour mieux analyser la littérature autour des liens entre la COVID-19 et d'autres maladies, exemple les maladies cardiovasculaires, par un outil de visualisation, analyse sémantique, avec MIMS, My Intelligence Machine, qui est présentement aussi en cours d'intégration au sein de notre organisation. Donc ça, c'est 4 projets qui ont bénéficié du financement de Scale AI et Gray Oncology va plus tard parler de sa solution. Je vais m'arrêter là pour le moment. C'est bon, ça?
Merci beaucoup, Cathy.
Merci.
Can you hear me okay? Thanks very much, Mark and Scale AI for having me here. Neil Rahman, I'm a radiation oncologist at Princess Margaret Hospital, and I have a special interest in AI and how it can be applied to healthcare. So I'll talk a little bit about the project that Scale AI funded during the first phase. So just by way of background, the radiation oncology department at Princess Margaret is one of the largest in the world. We deliver about 10,000 courses of radiation per year, and we have 16 machines. And so for a long time, we've always wondered, if scheduling of radiotherapy patients, which is currently done manually, is being done in an optimal process. So we track a lot of metrics in our department, including wait times, and we know that patients are generally getting treated in a timely fashion. But something that we wondered is whether we're doing things efficiently and as best as possible. So we started looking into this well before the call for the Scale AI proposals came out, and then the pandemic hit. So during the pandemic, there was a significant disruption to our hospital operations, and it happened in 2 ways. One is that referrals dropped off by about 30 to 40%. And then the other thing is that our staffing had significantly changed. So there were childcare needs, people were taking off, people got sick. And so for the first time in over a decade, our department had this issue of whether we could treat everybody in need. And so when the Scale AI's call for proposals came out, we thought this was a perfect opportunity to part with somebody with expertise in supply chains and AI, and we were lucky to be partnered with Evado Labs. So we worked with the Evado Labs for the course of 9 months. We reviewed our historical data. We came up with a scheduling module together, a proof of concept, which could automatically assign patients to radiotherapy units and resources. And the biggest goal of this project was to treat patients who were highest priority, ensure that they got timely treatment. Other potential benefits of this module were to try to respect patient preferences more. We know that radiotherapy sometimes can take 7-8 weeks, cause significant disruption to patients' lives. So we wanted to respect patients' preferences, trying to make it as easy as possible for them and caregivers. And the third goal was to really make the best use of our machines. So we're a big department. We probably have resources in excess at most times, but we want to ensure that we're running at maximal efficiency, using our staff and our machines as best possible. So we had a great project with Evado over the course of 9 months. We developed a proof of concept, and we look forward to working with them more.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you very much. David?
Well, thank you very much, Mark, for the invitation to be here. And it's so nice to see you in person, and you too, Kathy, and everybody we've been talking with by Zoom for a while. So, at the MUHC, so our project was really focused on operating room efficiency and booking operating room efficiency. So, as I'm sure with all hospitals, at the pandemic, we already had a waiting list issue, but the pandemic really increased that problem considerably. We do around 20,000 surgeries a year at the McGill University Health Center. And so even small increases in the efficiency of our scheduling can have major impacts in terms of the number of patients we see and how quickly we see them. Fortunately, we'd already gone through the challenge of centralizing our OR booking at our hospital before going into this project, which gave us, in some sense, kind of a nice, we'd already gone through the human aspect of the system efficiency.
Which is remarkable.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was, I take no responsibility for that. That was a very forward-looking chief surgeon and surgery team. And so they'd centralize that. And then that allowed us to sort of think about, okay, now how can we build on that? Because, you know, as you can imagine, I think of scheduling OR cases as like on a game of Tetris. You have these patients arriving, and you don't even really know how long they're going to be. So you have to predict that shape. There's a lot of uncertainty in how long the procedure is going to be. You've got to slot them together to get the most efficiency in your operating room, and then you've got to find a place to put them afterwards. So there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of moving parts. Even though we'd centralized that process, it really had become a wicked problem for humans and a great opportunity for AI to come in and help out. And so that's when we, through serendipity, found about the opportunity that Scale AI had put out in terms of the COVID-19 crisis, and got together with a group of Evado Labs we started working with as well as a local data science consultant, Precision Analytics. And we put together a really strong team, and we put in place the solution. It was challenging, as you heard, in terms of the timelines, and so hopefully our experience led to some of the learnings to make it easier for others. But we did manage to pull that off, and we've implemented that solution, and we're rolling it out now. And we're you know, I wouldn't say it was all roses, but it's part of a journey for us, and we've made really important steps forward in how we think about AI, how we prepare our hospital in terms of the data component of that, and all you heard as well in terms of the importance of having just complete buy-in from the administration and the clinical side, as was stressed in this funding opportunity. We had a lot of interesting lessons learned there. I'd be happy to share with others throughout the day.
Thanks, David. Thank you very much. Now you're talking about challenges. So the idea is, could you leveraging your experience you have in adopting AI solutions, could you share with the room what were the main challenges you faced during your experience, and to be able to integrate those AI solutions into your operations?
I'll start?
Yeah.
Okay, je vais y aller. Je vais en nommer deux, juste par souci de temps. Il y en a plusieurs autres, mais je vais en nommer deux, puis je vais peut-être parler un peu de la contre-mesure que nous avons mis en place et qu'on doit mettre en place pour les prochains concours. Premièrement, c'est les b.a.-ba de l'innovation, mais c'est fou comment l'importance de la gestion de changement est importante et la gestion des multiples parties prenantes. Donc, dans les critères, et merci de les inclure, il faut vraiment qu'on ait l'adhésion des... Là, j'ai nommé les différentes parties prenantes. Un hôpital, ce n'est pas une partie prenante. c'est tout, par exemple, les directions, la direction du service clinique, la direction d'approvisionnement, la direction des technologies, la direction de la donnée. Donc, d'aller chercher le buy-in de l'ensemble des exécutifs, mais aussi, par exemple, du terrain. Pas juste l'utilisateur ultime, exemple, l'agent administratif qui donne les rendez-vous ou la personne qui gère les backlogs, exemple d'équipement. Donc oui, les utilisateurs sont l'oubli de moins en moins. Ça, c'est bon, l'utilisateur ultime de la solution. Mais il y a aussi toutes les équipes de soutien à ces utilisateurs ultimes. Donc, c'est très complexe de gérer ces multiples parties prenantes. Le partenaire technologique ne connaît pas l'hôpital aussi bien que nous. Donc, c'est important d'avoir, oui, une bonne gestion de projet, une bonne gestion de changement, mais la gestion des partenariats, moi, mon équipe, c'est ça son expertise, d'avoir une personne qui gère les multiples intérêts, des fois divergents, les conflits, les chicanes de corridor, ça, il y en a un au quotidien. Et donc, ça, de vraiment le concevoir, faire une bonne analyse des multiples parties prenantes internes à l'organisation, avec le partenaire, s'il y en a plus qu'un industriel, donc les deux partenaires industriels, et vraiment d'aider la conception du projet, de ne pas oublier personne, puis de bien gérer. Le deuxième défi que j'aimerais en parler, c'est l'intégration dans les opérations. Donc, le but de cet appel à projet-là, c'est de se rendre jusqu'à l'intégration dans les opérations. Puis ce qui est important, c'est pour avoir une bonne intégration réussie, il faut que dès la conception, donc lorsqu'on va coécrire les demandes ensemble, il faut qu'on s'assure d'un bon plan d'intégration. Donc, qu'est-ce que l'hôpital doit mettre en place en termes d'expertise et d'infrastructure pour intégrer la solution post-fin du projet? Et c'est ça qu'on va discuter en amont. Évidemment, la propriété intellectuelle appartient aux partenaires technologiques, mais quelle est la condition d'utilisation pour ce qu'on a co-créé avec le partenaire technologique? On a un énorme investissement. Les hôpitaux, même s'il y a une dépense d'équivalent temps complet en gestion de projet, on déploie énormément de ressources pour ces projets-là. Jusqu'à maintenant, les partenaires industriels ont reconnu cette contribution-là, mais il faut en discuter dès la conception. Donc, un plan d'intégration opérationnel technique dans l'établissement une fois que le projet se termine, puis une bonne gestion de la propriété intellectuelle de façon responsable, gagnante pour l'ensemble des parties prenantes.
Merci Cathy.
So there were a few challenges that we encountered at Princess Margaret. So I think one of the biggest ones was the timeline of the project. We're usually used to pursuing research projects or industry collaborations, and these are, sometimes take 2-3 years to actually get up and running. And when the department heard that this needed to be done in 7 months, I think this was something unprecedented for us. So we learned a lot by going through the process.
And listen to us this time, right? They extended a bit timeline, which is great.
That's very helpful, absolutely. So I think that was the biggest challenge, just getting everything in place and going through the processes within the timeline of the project. The other thing is there's a bit of change management, so Princess Margaret, the radiation department has done scheduling the same way for about 20 years. We assign patients one by one, and then if you go and tell them that AI is going to assign 10 patients at a time, there's obviously a little bit of suspicion and wondering what the impact on the department is. And people and it's real in that some patient flow coordinators, they wonder if they're going to lose their jobs, how is it going to affect their, function and career. So I think there's a little bit of change management and counseling and talking and making sure that everybody's on the same page that needed to take place. And then the third thing was the expertise. I mean, we were really lucky that we had great industrial partners who had the AI expertise, but we also needed some expertise within the department, people who are interested in operations and optimizing things. So this was great, and I have to give credit to the department head because we put together a group for this purpose. So we put together a working group who are specifically interested in analytics and operations, and we were able to work with our industrial partner in a better way, forming this expertise and group within our.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I won't, I agree with everything that's been said. Those were all both challenges and opportunities. I think, a couple things that were really good for us, I'll start with the positives, was the degree of coordination that we had. So we had very strong project management on our vendor side. With Vado Labs, I see Chloe here, as well as on our team with the project manager we brought in. And that was really critical because, as was said, these things go fast, particularly for a hospital. It's not a research project. It's really go. And if you don't have the people lined up and engaged in the right way, then it's just not going to happen correctly. And I think just to expand on what Kathy said too about the engagement on the hospital side is really critical. And having a clinical team that really is invested in solving the problem. You can't show up with a problem and bring it to people and say, here, let's solve your problem. They really have to say, this is a problem we want to solve. So on our surgery example, again, the team had already centralized the booking. They were already thinking about AI as a possible solution, but didn't quite know how to do it. And so that was the perfect thing for us. And one of the reasons I say this is that, as we went through the project, we discovered a lot of data challenges. Everything seemed fine from about 30,000, 10,000, 5,000 feet. But when you start to really get into the specifics, you start to realize that, maybe the way we're coding things or the way we've coded things actually is preventing us from going a step farther. That requires some clinical insights together with the data insights and the capacity at the organizational level to say, oh, this is an organizational priority. We're going to change now how we actually capture that data, not just for this project, but going forward. So, to have that engagement and that flexibility, that was critical. Because on the flip side, I think if you don't have that engagement and you don't have your data house ready, you just can't keep up with the pace of the project. And so I really encourage, if you're thinking about a project, to try and think as deeply as you can with the clinical team, the administrative team, to really get into the weeds of what data you have and variables that are available and make sure it's all teed up and ready to go. You just can't spend enough time on that. It's not the most exciting thing to do, perhaps, but it's critical.
Many thanks, David. Many thanks, all of you, for these insightful testimonies. One last question. So looking forward now, looking in the future, and leveraging your experience you have in integrating AI solutions, what do you see being the next AI solutions you want to integrate into your operations that will address critical issues you're having?
Je vais y aller. Je vais peut-être répondre plus dans l'angle qu'est-ce qui est critique et essentiel à intégrer pour adopter des solutions futures. Je vais répondre dans cette perspective-là. Encore 2 éléments. Continuer à travailler et marteler la culture de la donnée. Donc, Anne porte la stratégie de valorisation de la donnée. Ça a l'air simple, mais ce n'est pas si simple. Quand on a augmenté la littératie, le niveau de littératie autour de l'importance de la donnée, tu sais, moi je dis souvent, la donnée traduit des besoins, des caractéristiques. Et d'expliquer le pourquoi. Pourquoi c'est important cette donnée-là? Pourquoi elle sera utile? Comment elle va être utilisée? C'est des termes que Anne est en train de vraiment pousser au sein de nos équipes cliniques. Donc, continuer à promouvoir la culture de la donnée et de développer des outils simples, faciles d'intégration pour utiliser cette donnée pour qu'elle soit utile dans la pratique. Donc, par exemple, des outils de visualisation simples qui supportent les modèles algorithmiques pour qu'un gestionnaire prenne une décision ou pour qu'une agente administrative book des rendez-vous. Donc, des outils aussi simples d'IA. Simple, c'est difficile à faire, c'est pas facile à concevoir, mais simple dans son intégration, simple dans leur interprétation. Donc, culture de la donnée, outils simples d'intégration, facilement utilisables par les gens sur le terrain, qui ne font pas que utiliser ces outils-là, ils ont 1001 autres outils à utiliser dans leur quotidien. Deuxième point, c'est une stratégie de valorisation. Puis là, je ne parle pas juste pour le CHUM, mais au Québec ou au Canada, de continuer à pousser une stratégie cohérente et responsable de la valorisation de la donnée. Comment passer de l'exploration, de la recherche et de développement à la production et aux opérations plus rapidement. Que ça ne prenne pas 10 ans pour que des résultats de la recherche se traduisent dans la pratique. Comment passer, pas de 7 mois, là, ça c'est impossible, là, mais en 2 ans, en 2 ans et demi, ou en 3 ans, en 4 ans, 5 ans, mais plus rapidement de la recherche, du testing de MVP à la production. Comment s'assurer que le terrain comprenne la notion de données utiles, utilisables et utilisées. Je reprends tes 3 piliers, Anne, de notre stratégie. Puis comment s'assurer d'avoir une gouvernance saine, responsable, mais pas sclérosante. C'est bien d'avoir des règles de cybersécurité, de confidentialité, mais là, je trouve que, puis là, je parle du Québec, là, on est en train de surcomplexifier les règles. Comment les simplifier? La loi 3 tente de la simplifier, mais après les détails de la réglementation puis de la cybersécurité, je trouve qu'on est en train de tendre vers une surcomplexification. Donc, comment s'assurer qu'une gouvernance, que des règles de bonne gestion de sécurité, de confidentialité soient rigoureuses, mais aussi pas sclérosantes, tant pour les hôpitaux que pour les partenaires industriels ou académiques.
Merci beaucoup, Cathy.
So in terms of goals for next steps, I think we can sort of split them a little bit into scientific goals and business goals. So one of the interesting sort of insights that we learned from doing the first part of the project with Ivado is that sometimes the bottleneck is not just in terms of machines. So sometimes it's the staffing or the supply that's the bottleneck. So in a phase 2, we're hoping to extend this work and try to optimize staffing as well in addition to machines. There's no point if you have all the machines to treat patients, but you don't have therapists or staff who need them to actually treat the patient. So that's something, a scientific part that we're working on extending. In terms of business goals, it sort of goes back to the introduction today. In the first part of the project, we've thought a lot only about our center. We've been a bit selfish. We've not thought about whether other centers could use this kind of solution. So the problems faced by a 5-machine hospital is very different than what's faced at Princess Margaret. So we'd like to work with other hospitals to really understand if this model can be generalized and how it can be used to support other hospitals as well. And the third thing that we really want to work on is collecting metrics, right? So how did the solution actually impact our department? What was the impact on patients? Did it actually reduce PFC time? Could they use that time to actually spend with patients? So we really want to understand the clinical impact on doing the solution. So we've started collecting these metrics already as a and we look forward to seeing what the impact on the solution for our department is.
Thank you very much, David.
Yeah, so from our perspective, we see the opportunities with AI as within the context of our work, where I see sort of a Venn diagram where we have our clinical information systems, we have data and analytics, and we have digital transformation. And by digital transformation, I mean really sort of thinking through some of our core, often transversal processes, and thinking about what we're trying to accomplish, and not being wed in how we're doing it now, and trying to find how can we make the best use of existing digital tools to really make that process go better and get better outcomes. And so it's really maybe more in that digital transformation piece, but also linked in a bit with the data analytics piece, I think, where we see a lot of AI opportunities. Certainly the OR booking example I gave was an example of that, where we wanted to rethink that process about how we actually did the allocation of patients to operating rooms, and that allowed us to come up with a new strategy with our partners. I think the focus of Scale AI on logistics and flow, as you've described it, I think there's a lot that can be done in hospitals, and that's really a core area for us. We see some of the more bleeding edge clinical applications as very exciting, but a little farther away from prime time perhaps in terms of the evidence base, and a little riskier, more challenging for us to jump to, whereas we can see some real benefits in the space of digital transformation around some of our core processes, like booking, as you've heard, for other kinds of services, and even just understanding how patients move around the hospital and how to avoid bottlenecks. So for us, this is a really interesting area, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and that's where we're looking at that intersection, if you will. Not to say that we're discounting opportunities for clinical diagnostics and so on. That, of course, very interesting, and we continue to look at that. But this area, which is really that focus, if you will, between analytics and how we get our processes moving faster is really our main focus, I would say, for AI right now.
Many thanks, David. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much. One of the key takeaways I take from what I just heard is that beyond the science behind the AI solutions, there is often a great challenge that is too often overlooked, which is meeting all the conditions to have a proper AI integration. And so you enumerate a lot of them. So I think stakeholder alignment, change management, digital maturity, data infrastructure, etc. And I think that's very helpful, and that's helped us also structure the call for project we just launched. So this is also something we'll be looking at when we review the projects you'll be submitting. So yeah, thank you very much for these insightful testimonies. Now I think we'll skip the question time. Sorry for that, because we are a bit tight on the timeline. You'll be able to speak and ask as many questions as you want during the lunch time. And I have the pleasure to leave the floor to Isabelle for the next panel. Thank you very much.